We've all struggled with procrastination before, and we're all going to struggle with it again. But just because it is a universal problem doesn't mean that we're helpless against it. In this video, I'll go through 5 different tips which I use to try to minimize the amount I procrastinate. If you're new here, my name is Jarle, and on Early Owl, we learn how to get started. I think the most important part to realize about procrastination is that it's not resistance to doing the task, it is resistance to getting started. So what you want to hone in on when you're trying to combat procrastination is just to find ways where you can make yourself take the first step. Because almost always, as soon as you get started and you're actually working on the task, then all the resistance from the procrastination goes away. The first way to combat procrastination, I think, is to leverage social pressure. And we see this in kind of the regular world all the time, where you have a deadline or you have a test, and what you often do is you just put it off until the last minute, but then eventually, when it is the last minute, you get it done. And this works because at some point, the kind of pain of not doing the thing becomes bigger than the pain of getting started. So there's a few different ways you can try to leverage this in a task which doesn't have a built-in deadline. One is to just set a commitment or a deadline for yourself. This is what I'm doing with this YouTube channel, for example, where I have in my banner that I will post a new video every Wednesday. And if I didn't have that and I didn't have a specific day I would post, then I can guarantee that I would be posting videos less frequently. Like, I try to work on a video every weekend, but it has definitely happened before that I don't have a video done after the weekend, or I haven't even started it. And if there wasn't a hard commitment to make a video every Wednesday, then just nothing would happen. But since I have made this kind of public commitment, even though I know very few people would actually notice and they wouldn't really care, I still just have this commitment that I've set and I'm gonna follow through on it. So as the Wednesday starts closing in, I will always find the motivation, or at least I have so far, to just kind of push through any resistance and get the video done. Another great way to use social pressure is to work with other people. So if you're studying, you could set up a study group, or at work, you could just ask a colleague maybe to have a work session together. And just kind of setting this expectation that you've set off this time and you're going to work on this problem, even if it's just an online thing, it does add some level of accountability and you're much less likely to kind of just faff about or not get started. Another way to get a similar effect is to use something called FocusMate. I've made a video about FocusMate before, and basically what you do is just you book a meeting in a calendar with like a random person on the internet, and then that just becomes a 50-minute work session. And I think for me, this has been like the most reliable and easy way to kind of just get out of procrastination. Because if I have this meeting scheduled and it's with another person, then I'm going to show up on there no matter how demotivated I'm feeling. And when you sit down and you tell another person that I'm going to be working on this for the next 50 minutes, then at least I'm going to get started on it. And normally that's just the push you need. Another great tip for combating procrastination is to start small. There's several ways to start small when it comes to beating procrastination, because the only thing you need to do to get over procrastination is to get started. So if you have some kind of non-specific task that you just kind of want to work out, or you want to practice playing piano or whatever, if you can just kind of limit your expectations. So the only thing you have to do is just kind of get started and work on it for 2 minutes. And if you're still not feeling it, you can quit. Then that makes it a much easier kind of sell to your brain to get started. And similarly, if you have something specific you need to get done, and it's not really about putting in the time, it's more about getting the thing done, then how you would want to try to use this is that you just define the smallest possible step you can take and decide that that's what you're going to do. I was kind of struggling with procrastination for this script where I wasn't getting started. And what I told myself is that the only thing I needed to do was just to sit down and write down the 5 points, kind of the 5 headlines of what I wanted to talk about, and then I would be done. But obviously, when I sat down and I'd written those 5 points, I was like, okay, I can just write a little bit about some of the points, and then I filled out the rest, and then the script was done. If you have some regular responsibility that you often procrastinate, then I think rituals is the most important part to combat this. So say you're a student for 3 years and you always find yourself procrastinating everything, then what you want to do is build habits and build rituals. there's a lot of different ways to use rituals. It could be like a specific time of the day, or it could be that you always study after you've had your coffee in the morning, or it could be that you always study after working out. The point is just that you want to have some specific trigger that gets you started. What you want to avoid at all costs is to kind of just be sitting in your living room and watching Netflix and relying on kind of a sudden burst of motivation to get started. You want to have like an automatic flow from doing something to getting started. One thing I often use is going for walks, where if I have some new project I need to get started on, instead of just jumping into it from something else, I will often just go for a walk and just kind of get a clean slate. And then when I'm done with the walk and get home, I just get started right away. Another thing I think is important to keep in mind is that sometimes it is an option to just not do it. There are 2 wonderful articles about procrastination from Tim Urban. And in these articles, he coins the term dark playground, which I think is a perfect description of what's going on when you're procrastinating. When you're in the dark playground, you have something that you know you should be doing, but you just can't find the startup energy to get started. And then you just spend endless time doing things that are often not even enjoyable. It's just kind of something to do that is not getting started. So sometimes you are better off just deciding that you're not going to do the thing today, so you can just relax and not think about it and commit to doing something you actually want to do, instead of spending an endless amount of time just kind of building up guilt and stress, while also not making any progress on what you need to do. Just as we've all experienced procrastination, I think we've also all experienced procrastinating for several hours, and then suddenly, for whatever reason, we just decide enough is enough and we get up and do it. So it's important to kind of realize that you can just do that. You can just get started. You don't need to have like set up these systems, and you don't need to do whatever. The only thing you need to do to combat procrastination is to get started. Procrastination is not that it's hard to do the thing. It is that it's hard to get started. I've been in deep procrastination holes before, where I decided to watch videos on YouTube about how to beat procrastination while I was procrastinating. So if that is you right now and you decided to watch this video because you were like in a procrastinating mood, then I'm giving you the permission right now, even the demand, that you should just close this video and get started right away. And you just need to get started. There's no commitment on how much you need to do, no specific goals, just you need to sit down and close this video and close distractions and just take one step in the right direction. If you enjoyed this video, I'll add a playlist here about similar videos I made around topics of productivity. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.